This site allowed women to, I guess, avoid terrifying online dating experiences.
I have no problem with this as long as guys can do the same thing.
But would you have the same level of hatred for a giant database leak if it was T2 or Hot T or whatever the alternative would be made for men to avoid negative dating experiences with women, and then all of a sudden tens of thousands of dudes have their personal information revealed to the world, including their government IDs, and is that good? Would it then be like, good?
So apparently the T app is, you thought it was over, it's somehow not even over. Oh my god.
This app creator just destroyed his life by creating an app that promised to protect women from dating horrible men, but it ended up allowing their private information to be leaked all over the internet, including sites like 4chan, and he's now been hit with 6 federal lawsuits.
An app designed to let women safely discuss men they date has been hacked. The app
By the way, that's a total misrepresentation. It allows women to defame, harass, and dox men against their consent with no control or awareness that it's happening.
Wow, that's a hell of a claim. That's what it was doing? Entire time, I had no idea. The US-based women-only dating app, with more than 4 million users, surged the viral status in July after gaining traction on social media for its ability to mark men as red flags as a warning to others interested in dating them. According to researcher Sensor Tower, the app has been downloaded more than 2 million times last month. Marketed as helping women date safe and described as basically Yelp for men, T is currently one of the #1 lifestyles downloaded in the US App Store, but is also the topic of heated debate about the safety and privacy, being called a man-shaming app targeting by men's rights groups, and has now been hacked. San Francisco-based T Dating advice said in a statement posted on its website on July 25th that some 72,000 images, including 13,000 selfies and photo IDs used for the account verification, were leaked online. Then on Tuesday, T posted that it had been suspended for direct messaging after becoming aware that some of the messengers had been accessed during the data breach as well. A spokesman for T confirmed the data breach in an email to CBC News, adding that it was working to identify any users whose personal information was involved and will be offering free identity protection services to those individuals. T was reportedly intended to launch in Canada, and now it's probably not going to. Yet, even amongst the current turmoil, T's waitlist has ballooned to 1.5 million women, all eager to join the company, posted on Wednesday. A day later, T was posting on Instagram stories that it had approved well over 800,000 women in the dating app alone.
How do you feel about dating apps? No, really.
Comical.
complicated.
Chaotic.
And look, I get it. We've been doing this dating app thing for a long time now, over 10 years. Now, some of you might have found what you were looking for on the apps. A 2020 survey of nearly 5,000 adults in the US found that 12% have been in a committed relationship with someone they met online or married them. But for anyone still single and mingling, it can feel exhausting. And now we're seeing how all of that swiping might be hurting people's mental health. Let's look at another study. It surveyed 500 adults in the US.
But it's not about the app itself. Many women feel unsafe dating online. Women don't feel safe, so a dating app that centers on safety is going to hit home in a big way, said Trina Orchard, an associate professor at the School of Health Studies at Western University, and the author of Sticky, Sexy, Sad, Swipe Culture, and the Darker Side of Dating Apps. The main players in the dating app industry have not proven themselves to really double down on safety in ways that prevent certain forms of violence or misogyny, and the popularity of the app reflects how frustrating this is to women. 1 in 5 women experience online harassment in Canada, according to Canadian Women's Foundation. Statistics Canada notes that Indigenous women, bisexual women, and women between the ages of 15 and 24 are at even more risk. A 2023 Pew Research Center study in the US found that women were far more likely than men to say online dating isn't safe, 57% of women compared to 41% of men. Ipsos poll showed that 6,000 adults in the US for its report, and noted that 43% of women under 50 who use dating apps said someone had continued to search for them after they had said they weren't interested. 37% said they'd been called an offensive name, and 11% reported they'd received threats of physical harm. There are also multiple instances of murder and rape cases where perpetrators have used dating sites to find victims. In March, Calgary police issued a warning for men using online dating apps to sexually assault women. In addition, the RCMP have issued multiple warnings about romance scams where victims are contacted by dating apps for the purpose of obtaining their money. Marketing men with red flags is helpful in alerting women to know if they are an offender or a violent person. App facing backlash from men who want it shut down. T allowed users to find verified green flag men, run background checks, identify potential catfish, but check for criminal history and verify that a man isn't a sex offender, according to the app's website. Users can also share experiences and anonymous dating reviews. But one problem, Morgan said, is that the app also fosters conversations about more superficial things like a man's appearance, body odor, conversational skills, or romantic prowess. And then there's the backlash. Cleveland lawyer Aaron Mink, who specializes in cases involving online defamation and harassment, told Associated Press that his firm has received hundreds of calls from people upset that they have been posted about them on T, the app itself. A campaign on men's rights subreddit urges people to report T, saying that it must be deleted. Another campaign said the subreddit users outlines a 6-step action plan to get T shut down, including personal civil lawsuits. It's just an echo chamber for women to shit on men, gossip, or spread rumors, posted someone in the comment section about one of the Reddit campaigns. Generally, people are legally allowed to use and provide opinions about other people in public forums, and truth is an absolute defense against defamation case, says lawyer Tina Yang, a partner in the Toronto office law firm Goldblatt Partners, who specializes in privacy law. What you can't do is breach someone's privacy, Yang said, and what's considered private is contextual, so it's possible for someone to sue over what was written about them on T, she said, pointing to a legal precedent where people have been successfully sued for defamation over negative Google reviews. There's also potential for criminal consequences if the posts meet the bar for harassment, Yang said. I personally would not post on T. The potential for things to go awry is pretty high. Applicants have to be approved in order to join. The process once required selfies and government photo ID as an added layer of safety to ensure that only women were signing up for the app. The company said it removed the ID requirement in 2023, but the data was stored before February 2024 when T migrated to a more secure system that accessed the breach. According to an investigation by 404 Media, users on the notorious image-based bulletin board 4chan claimed to have been discovering an exposed database and posted women's photos and information online. A website viewed by CBC News lists where it says T's selfies and let people rank them by order of attractiveness. According to The Atlantic, 4chan users were also creating a map that claimed to link T users to certain locations who told people they were using it to enjoy. I think there's, like, fucking hell, a lot of things going on here at once. Like, of course, people shouldn't be building databases where they simply shame men in any capacity. But what it really seems like this was primarily being used for was to keep women safe, of which, yeah, there's a massive problem of women being unsafe online, especially being unsafe in regards to dating and the potential for stalkers to be chasing after them. I think if they had some way of letting each other know, hey, by the way, I've had a negative experience in that this person was either not taking no for an answer, was pursuing me, was still trying to date me long after I had told them that I had no interest in them, or had not even tried to connect with them in the first place. Anything that can keep people safe. And that applies to men as well, by the way. Men can have very negative experiences dating online too. So this, I think, is something about a broader conversation where a lot of these apps, you know, whether they be Tinder or Bagel or Grindr across the board, they do have a responsibility and you know, I would say a duty to be able to keep their user bases safe in some capacity. If they're not meeting that requirement, then apps like the T Dating Advice app are going to start gaining popularity. Because, of course, it's not a new phenomenon. There's been websites that do this for a very long time where women can share information about having very negative experiences with a certain man who may be simply using, you know, these apps to take advantage of multiple women and then state that this dude is a massive red flag and to avoid him because it could potentially be dangerous. That's to keep people safe. If the apps themselves aren't going to take responsibility, and that if you have a user who multiple other people have stated, hey, by the way, this person could potentially be a stalker, this person could potentially you know, be violent or sexually violent towards women, and you're not willing to actually do anything in order to keep them from, you know, perpetuating the potential, in some cases, crimes, then are you surprised in any capacity that this is going to happen? My Tinder account got banned. I lent it to a friend. He posted a meme of Coke and it got banned. Checkmate, no need to worry about if it is banned. Why did your friend do that? What a shitty friend. Your friend got you banned off Twitter. That's, you know, if we're gonna talk about fucking assholes here, that's a fucking asshole, you know. I'm a little taken back by my older brother was bringing Asmongold before the controversy bringing out. Yeah, that part is shitty. But yeah, don't do that. Don't fucking think it's just a prank, bro, because you could get banned for life from an app because all of a sudden you think it's fucking hilarious. In this, yeah, it's obviously complicated. I think if the app is being used to be like, let's shame, you know, one single dude because, you know, he doesn't spend enough on dates or something like that, that's what I think the men's rights movements are trying to, like, you know, target. As in, this was not an app to keep women safe. This was an app that was shaming guys' dick sizes and shaming their ability to give women orgasms, or shaming the amount of money they spent on dates, or shaming, their body odor and things like that. Shame on them. And then they're like, trying to dox men who are innocent and all this kind of stuff. And on the other end of things, it seems like, hey, by the way, there seems to be a lot of women who are very, very potentially put in a position of danger as a result of these apps existing. Or the lack of these kind of apps existing, or the lack of maybe security that other providers are lacking in providing. It's the bigger thing here too is that, like, once again, who became the large scale fucking doxing victims were women. Like, tens of thousands of women now have both their full IDs, their photos, their government issued IDs that have been leaked in these massive databases because the company was not taking their security seriously. And now what is going to happen to all those women where there's a very, very large percentage of angry men online who are looking for someone to direct their anger at? And it's like, hey, these are all the women who are fucking complaining about dudes' dick sizes. Let's get them. I mean, a lot of those women could have been joining this app simply because they want to avoid getting sexually assaulted on dates, right? The same problem is happening in both directions here. The same thing that, like, people are accusing women of doing on the T app was happening on a very large scale to women who are now part of this big leak and this giant leak where obviously, are you going to be able to differentiate between the women who joined the app simply because they wanted to be safe on a date, which is a perfectly reasonable thing, which should just be the expectation. Unfortunately, there's just too many creeps in the fucking world. They're going to be getting the same treatment that men are now going after the app itself for existing in the first place, being like, well, is it very fair that an app exists where it could possibly shame a nervous dude who wasn't good at going on a date, and all of a sudden women are like, oh yeah, he's fucking got a baby dick, let's shame him. And then a whole bunch of like fucking different accounts for like, I don't know anything about him, but he's also got a baby dick. And then it's such a fucking mess. And again, like any other story that involves the dating on a very large scale, women seem to be the ones who are really fucking getting fucked over by this app in the first place, because now all of their information is completely public. All the database has been leaked. It's fucked.
He said today about 72,000 images have been leaked online, including pictures, photo IDs of users that were submitted during account verification process.
Good. But before we go any further into this...
Good? What the fuck? Dude, that's fucked. That's fucked. That's indefensible. It's absolutely indefensible. Do you think all of the, 72,000 women who joined that app, all 72,000 of them were joining it to fucking shame dudes' dicks? Like, every one of them. Across the board. Oh, guilty. How dare you participate in something that was simply put in place to fucking shame men.
Story, we need to understand.
It makes it so hard to, try and argue on the other side, because the creeps only have one direction. It's just like, in its totality, while it serves you right, you shouldn't have joined the Man Shame app. And now that all of your personal information is out there, enjoy. That's your fault for joining the Man Shaming app. Why would someone join that app in the first place? Of that, what was the percentage of women who are doing it just entirely maliciously? Like, is there going to be women who are doing it to shame an ex they don't like or something like that? What's the percentage of that versus, I'm guessing, a very large percentage of women who just wanted to be safe online and not go on a date with someone who could previously have abused someone? Right? Like, where do I search for that? Where can I look it up? I'm excited. I like this guy. We've been flirting online, and I want to go on a date with him, but I've had negative experiences in the past, and also, there can be men who are just fucking physically abusive, and so now I want to look up whether or not he has in fact been a fucking horrifying monster in the past. And there was a database where maybe you could look that up, and now all of a sudden it's like your information's out there. You're part of the entire group of women who are the man haters. Every single one of you.
What this app does and why it was created. So you have this app called T, and it's described as the Yelp for dating. This site allowed women to, I guess, avoid terrifying online dating experiences.
I have no problem with this as long as guys can do the same thing.
Posting photos of men and seeing if anyone else had the same bad experience.
But would you have the same level of hatred for a giant database leak if it was the men one? if it was T2 or hot tea or whatever the alternative would be made for men to avoid negative dating experiences with women, and then all of a sudden tens of thousands of dudes had their personal information revealed to the world, including their government IDs, and is that good? Would it then be like good?
With the same man.
T had marketed itself as sort of like Yelp, but for dating. So instead of dating, instead of reviewing a service, you were reviewing an actual guy that you had gone out with. But the concern here was that you had a lot of guys who often frequent a ton of dating apps at once, and they're committing kind of the same offenses, sometimes being creepy, but sometimes being dangerous or violent with women. And word doesn't get out to enough women at the time because these guys are on so many different websites, right? So the idea that the T was saying was like, don't worry, this will be a central place, not a dating app. This is more of like a research app.
Gee, I wonder.
I mean, that's true. That's clearly, like, I don't agree with that, but that is an accurate summary of what the intent was. That's true.
What could go wrong?
But then what information are you basing on the fact that that's in totality not what it was used for? Did you read one article in some right-wing magazine where it was like a men's rights magazine that was like, this was used to shame dick size and body odor and how dare they? What you got to do is you got to read an article that's going to like tell the full story, right? Like we just did. In that article, they went into detail talking about here are some of the negative experiences that we feel that were being used by the app in order to shame men specifically for things that we don't feel is accurate to put them into the same category as men who are physical or sexual assaulters. A database of men who are physical or sexual assaulters could keep women more safe. We can all agree on that if men are physical and sexual assaulters, then yes, it would be great if women didn't enter into dates with them. That could put them in a lot of danger. And then it's like, okay, but there was other men who were simply being shamed for being awkward or nervous or something else. And then that was like the red flag, so to speak. So that's a bad thing. And then immediately it's like, okay, well, I understand the intent, but that's not what it was used for. Not once.
It's said to be influenced by Facebook pages like, are we dating the same guy? A good example of this would be a 27-year-old woman who became skeptical of her partner. She was recommended the Facebook page by close friends, only to find out he'd been posted about in a negative light by like 10 different women. So in theory, this gives women a form of protection to help them avoid bad experiences with men they're going on dates with or men they've already been in relationships with. And while I can definitely see this app could be used for good, I can also see, wow, this app could also be used for harassment. But unfortunately,
the thing is that there's no accountability. This is the problem with this kind of stuff, is that you have girls that say stuff like this and they have no obligation to tell the truth. They have no obligation to, you know, accurately describe what happened. And there's plenty of girls that are probably just not going to get called back on a date and they're mad about it. So then they go on this app and say bad stuff.
This is fan fiction. This is just your own fan fiction, though. Like, you can't be like, yeah, but here's the problem. The problem is that women are going to use this app, and if they got ghosted one time, they're going to flag a guy as a rapist, and that's what's going to happen, all right? Or if the date wasn't good or, you know, didn't spend enough money, then obviously you're going to be like, this cheap motherfucker is being put in the abuse category, and because there's no accountability for anything. The problem is that there's not really any form of real accountability for women who experience vast forms of sexual and physical assault in society, right? Like, it is something that not only is it an absolute struggle for women to have to tell their story and be believed in the first place, but actually, if you want to go as far as trying to get a criminal conviction, I mean, good luck in that process depending on where you are. It's an absolute nightmare. So as a result, women are trying different methods in the digital age to try and protect themselves. Are these methods perfect? Absolutely not. Is there problems? Yes. And it seems once again in this story, the victims were women because they are the ones who are now having all of their information leaked in the monster hack. They're the ones who now have all that shit put out there. In essence, like the shittiest thing about this story is that, like, of course, all the weirdos and creeps on the internet are going to use it as an instant kind of like gotcha. Like, this shouldn't have existed in the first place because, you know, women can just tell lies about men. And it's like, this already existed, just so we're completely clear. There were already websites where women would post information, whether they were Facebook groups, whether they were forums, or whether they were other forms of collective, you know, storytelling databases where they would be like, hey, by the way, you should avoid this dude. Here's his, like, you know, username on this app. He abused my friend. He got away with it. He's now trying to, like, hide that it happened. You should avoid him. Just, ladies, be careful. Or this guy, you know, said that he was not in a relationship. We went on a date, and then and it turns out he was married, but he was just trying to have sex with other people. You should be avoiding him. It's scary, that kind of stuff. Like that stuff is what this app, I think, was attempting to centralize, and obviously did not give two fucks ultimately about the security of their own users, which is also really fucked up.
Stuff about the guy. Like, there's how many times have you seen like women that don't like somebody, and men do the same thing. It's not like women are unique in this way, but like anybody who does this, where like as soon as they don't like somebody, it's not enough for them to describe what the person did wrong. They have to go even farther than that and make up extra things that they didn't even do to make them seem worse.
That's not even the app's biggest problem, because recently the app was hacked. According to the media, passport information, driver's license, and full names of the women all across North America were leaked. But was it actually hacked, or was it just coded extremely poorly? Well, that's what we're going to be discussing today. So for some backstory for you, T was founded by Sean Cook in 2023 after he witnessed his mother's terrifying online dating experience. Apparently, she was being catfished over and over again and was unknowingly talking to men with criminal records. So how did this app help with this problem? Well, this app allowed women to post the man's first name, age, location, and other women on the site can share their experiences and share whether the man was a potentially good or bad person, using the terms red flag or green flag.
See, this is how social credit.
But he didn't add the things you're adding. Is that true? Were they posting pictures? And also, it didn't seem like they were doxing every single one of those men. They were using their information from dating apps. This is his first name. This is his username on whatever dating app that he's using. By the way, he happens to be someone who is married. He happens to be someone who is lying about this. He happens to be an abuser. He happens to be physically abusive. Then I'm going to put him into the red flag category.
It begins. See, these people hate, these people complain and they say, oh, we don't like China, it's oppressive. But then they go and they do this. There's really no functional difference between this and Chinese social credit system.
What is going on? Well, you heard it here, ladies. Don't try to alert one another to potentially violent men, or you are inventing social credit scores that don't belong.
There's not.
I'm more just curious, at what point is it okay to warn someone else that someone is potentially dangerous? Like, what's his level of tolerance for that, right? Like, if it's just like, well, men should be allowed to do it too, I agree, absolutely. If there is a woman who is physically abusive or is sexually abusive, or who is a just straight up scam artist who goes on dates with the guy and steals their fucking credit cards and stuff like that, wouldn't you want there to be some way for you to alert your friends or alert someone else? Hey, by the way, that woman is dangerous. She's a bad person. She beat me up, you know, something to that effect.
Early users of the app had to verify with a form of KYC,
Straight up
meaning
doxing.
they had to upload a photo of themselves and a ID, so government ID and a selfie of themselves to verify their age and gender. This is because the T app was a woman-only platform. The uploading your identification feature was later removed at the end of 2023 and changed to simply allow you to upload a photo of your face on the app. In their terms of service, they promised that these images would be instantly removed as soon as the verification process.
Yeah, that's not the company.
Then how did this happen?
Process finished. Well, apparently that didn't happen. This may not seem important now, but trust me, it plays a massive role later on in the video, because every single user that signed up at the time just had their personal information leaked online. The T app suddenly went viral in 2025, reaching #1 in the App Store, with a total of over 4 million women across America using the app. And this is a surge that was fueled mostly by TikTok and media coverage. And I mean, it's a solid concept, so there was no doubt that it was going to go viral. But here's where things start getting a little bit sketchy and the cracks start to show.
I've dated some weird people from dating apps. It might be valuable to call someone out that behavior, but I never felt in danger. I think, honestly, a lot of the responsibility should be put on the actual dating apps themselves, not for, like, you know, adding social credit scores to people so they can go up and down like a Uber or something like that. But if there are genuinely problems, and I know a lot of them do have rules around this, where someone, if it turns out if they are physically or sexually abusive, they get banned for life from those kind of apps. Clearly, there's something lacking here, and there's such a huge demand for something like this to exist in the first place, because that responsibility is not being taken by the apps themselves seriously enough.
Even before the so-called hack or leak online.
But yeah, I'd say a lot of the problems are, I agree with you. They're structural. It's like the problem is not women trying to protect themselves. I think that there's this idea too where women are gathering on a regular basis to shame beta males or to shame nervous guys, or just to be like, we're just gonna build a database where we can just mock guys who fucking weren't good at sex or didn't tip enough or didn't buy me things or something like that. And like I don't see that happening here. I think the demand in something like this being so prominent comes from women primarily being the victims of physical and sexual assault. That's just like, those are the numbers. Women are primarily the victims of physical and sexual assault. They can have very negative experiences with meeting people online. As a result of that, a lot of them are trying to find ways to keep themselves more safe. And in this imperfect system, is there going to be shitty women? Of course, there's shitty women. There are shitty women in the world, as there are shitty men. And like, in both extremes, that fucking sucks. But this is like, this was an attempt to try and find something in the interim. Meanwhile, at the end of the story, the ... who were the majority victims? It turned out the women who were using the app are the ones who now have very, very serious information, full doxing. We're talking your government-issued IDs now being leaked en masse onto the internet, where all of these angry and potentially violent incels and misogynists and all that kind of stuff, now they can find you. They can find where you fucking live. They know what you look like, all that kind of shit, and they have no idea who the fuck you are. Like, that's the tragedy, I think, at the end of the story that isn't being reported on by fucking, you know, the Asmongolds or the Rat Kings or the cockroach followers.
Don't let this happen to you. Go to serfscoffee.com to order the only end-to-end owned indigenous coffee company that delivers blood-free, conflict-free, and cruelty-free beans right to your door. 0% of people who drink serfscoffee.com have exploded spontaneously. By ordering right now, you get 10% off plus free shipping, and it's the best way to enjoy delicious coffee while not exploding. That's serfscoffee.com, serfscoffee.com.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone. This video wouldn't be at all possible without the financial support of all the people whose names you see on the screen right now. And if you want to unlock secret bonus episodes, content that we can't post anywhere else, or get the videos early before anyone else gets to see them, please go on to patreon.com/theserfs. For as little as $1, you can help support this channel and help make more videos like this possible. Our executive producers are Anna Loves Riley, Adrian McCarthy, Bobby Lasers, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Garrett Sandoval, Hagbard Celine, Jimmy Sombrero, Multimondi, Omni, Political Papi, Preston Kroll, Quiet 185, Richard Boehm, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demel, Tigwick, Trav, and Words Greenwood. And also, it wouldn't be possible without all the names you see on the screen right now. Again, if you want to help produce this content, it's only made possible through the funding of our patrons.